Greetings, dear listeners. We find ourselves on a journey today into the depths of ancient wisdom through the pages of the Book of Job. As we delve into this remarkable narrative, we will encounter Job, a man of immense faith and patience, whose story is deeply woven into the tapestry of the Bible. The Book of Job is not just a tale but a testament to human resilience and the power of steadfast faith. This book presents us with a portrait of a man who, despite facing unimaginable trials and tribulations, never wavers in his faith. It invites us to reflect on our own patience and trust in the face of adversity. It is a story that transcends time, resonating with people across generations and cultures. The Book of Job stands as a beacon of divine wisdom, illuminating the path for those seeking answers to life's most challenging questions. Join us as we unravel the profound teachings of the Book of Job, a tale of faith, resilience, and divine wisdom. In the land of Uz there lived a man named Job. He was blameless, upright, feared God, and shunned evil. This man, Job, was about to face trials that would test his faith to its very core. Job was a wealthy man, blessed with 10 children, thousands of sheep, camels, oxen, and donkeys. He was respected and admired in his community. However, his life took a tragic turn when he lost everything in rapid succession. Raiders attacked his herds and servants, killing them and taking away his animals. A mighty wind collapsed the house of his eldest son during a feast, killing all of his children. Job's wealth, his prosperity, and his beloved children were all tragically taken from him. Yet in the face of these calamities, Job did not blame God. Instead, he fell to the ground and worshipped, saying, "The Lord gave and the Lord has taken away. May the name of the Lord be praised." In all this, Job did not sin by charging God with wrongdoing. But Job's trials were not over. He was then afflicted with painful sores from the soles of his feet to the top of his head. His body, once strong and healthy, became a source of immense suffering. His wife, seeing his pain, asked him to curse God and die. But Job refused, choosing to hold on to his faith even in the midst of his suffering. He said, "Shall we accept good from God and not trouble?" In all this, Job did not sin in what he said. Despite the immense pain he was going through, Job chose to remain faithful. He continued to trust in God, even when everything in his life seemed to be falling apart. This is the story of a man whose faith was tested in ways most of us can't even begin to comprehend. His wealth, his children, his health, everything was taken from him. Yet he chose to remain faithful, to trust in God, to believe that even in the darkest of times, God was with him. Job, in his suffering, held on to his faith, never cursing God for his misfortunes. Job's friends, Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar, came to comfort him, yet their words were not of comfort but of judgment. These three men, traveling from distant lands, sat with Job in his suffering. They intended to bring solace, but their words were like salt on an open wound. They believed that Job's suffering was a direct consequence of his sins. Eliphaz the Temanite was the first to speak. He suggested that Job's suffering was a divine punishment. His logic was simple: those who sow wickedness reap the same. Eliphaz believed that Job's troubles were a result of his wrongdoings, and that his pain was a divine correction. Then Bildad the Shuhite took his turn. He implied that Job's children had brought their death upon themselves. He proposed that if Job were pure and upright, surely now he would awake for him and make his dwelling prosperous again. Last to speak was Zophar, the Naamathite. He was the most harsh of the three, accusing Job of deserving even worse punishment for his sins. He stated that if God were to reveal all of Job's sins, he would know that God had forgotten some of his iniquity. But Job, amidst his suffering, defended himself. He maintained his innocence and held steadfast in his faith. He rebuked his friends, calling them miserable comforters. He declared, "Even if I have sinned, that is my concern, not yours." Job's friends had come with the intention of comforting him, yet their words were far from comforting. They believed Job's suffering was a punishment for his sins, a divine retribution. But Job, through his pain and suffering, held firm to his belief in his innocence and his faith in God. The story of Job and his friends offers us a profound insight into human suffering and our reactions to it. It teaches us about faith, about friendship, and about the endurance of the human spirit in the face of relentless adversity. Yet despite their harsh words, Job maintained his innocence and held firm in his faith. Then from the whirlwind came the voice of God addressing Job and his friends. The voice that emerged was powerful yet tender, a clear and compelling sound that resonated with the depth of the universe itself, a voice that was neither hurried nor slow but flowed with the perfect rhythm of cosmic harmony. God, in his divine wisdom, responded to Job's suffering. "Who is this that obscures my plans with words without knowledge?" he asked, reminding Job of the vast difference between the Creator's wisdom and the limited understanding of his creations. "Where were you when I laid the earth's foundation? Have you journeyed to the springs of the sea, or walked in the recesses of the deep?" In these questions, God emphasized his sovereignty, his absolute control over the universe. He was not being harsh, but was merely pointing out the truth, that his wisdom is beyond human comprehension. Turning to Job's friends, God rebuked them for their lack of understanding. "Who is this that darkens my counsel with words without knowledge?" he asked them, emphasizing that their attempts to explain Job's suffering were misguided. Their words, though well-intended, were born out of ignorance and missed the complexity of God's divine plan. God's response was more than just a rebuke. It was a lesson in humility and understanding. It was a reminder that humans, in their limited wisdom, often fail to grasp the grandeur of God's plans. We see a fraction of the tapestry, while God sees the entire masterpiece. This divine discourse served as a wake-up call for Job and his friends, shaking them out of their narrow outlooks and opening their eyes to the vastness of God's wisdom. It reminded them that God's ways are higher than our ways, his thoughts higher than our thoughts. God's words served as a reminder of his infinite wisdom and the limitations of human understanding. We, like Job and his friends, are often quick to question and slow to listen. But in the grand scheme of things, we are but tiny specks in the vast cosmic canvas, trying to make sense of the masterpiece that is God's creation. Job, after hearing the voice of God, repents and is subsequently restored. In the aftermath of his profound encounter with the divine, Job, humbled and repentant, is bestowed a renewed sense of life. This is not merely a restoration, but a rebirth, a second chance to live and thrive. The magnitude of his suffering is matched only by the enormity of his restoration. Imagine the scene. Job, once stripped of everything, now finds himself at the helm of a burgeoning new life, teeming with blessings and prosperity. He is not merely restored to his former state, but is elevated, his latter days more blessed than his former. The divine scales, once tipped against him, now balance in his favor. Job's restoration is a testament to his unyielding faith, his steadfastness in the face of seemingly insurmountable trials. His wealth is replenished, his herds multiply, his family grows. He is blessed with 7 sons and 3 daughters, the most beautiful in all the land. His days are filled with feasting and rejoicing. Friends and relatives who had abandoned him now return, each bringing him a piece of silver and a gold ring, symbolic of his renewed status. Job lives for 140 years after his restoration, long enough to see his children and their children up to the 4th generation. His story is not merely one of survival, but of thriving, of emerging from the crucible of suffering stronger, richer, and more blessed. In the end, Job's story is a beacon of hope, a shining testament to the power of faith and resilience. His journey, though marred by trials and tribulations, culminates in a life that is full, prosperous, and blessed. His restoration serves as a powerful reminder that even in the face of adversity, faith can triumph, and blessings can bloom from the ashes of despair. Job's story ends with him receiving twice as much as he had before his trials, a testament to his unwavering faith. The Book of Job, an ancient text, still resonates with us today, teaching us valuable lessons. Among them, the themes of faith, patience, resilience, and divine wisdom stand out. Job's story is a testament to the strength of faith. Even when faced with unimaginable trials, Job held on to his belief in God's divine wisdom, teaching us the value of unwavering faith during hardships. Patience, too, is a central theme. Despite suffering, Job waited patiently for God's response, showing us that patience can be a source of strength in times of adversity. The story also underscores resilience, as Job's faith did not waver, despite his circumstances, reflecting a resilience born from faith. Above all, the Book of Job reminds us of our place in the grand scheme of things. The story encourages us to accept that we may not understand everything, but we can trust in divine wisdom. So we conclude our journey with Job, carrying with us the timeless wisdom of faith, patience, and the understanding of our place in the grand scheme of things.